It is a pleasure to extend cordial greetings to the Knights of Columbus. Who is not aware of your outstanding history of charitable endeavors carried out in fruitful and fraternal collaboration? I wish to encourage you to remain steadfast in your love for Christ and in your many deserving efforts to defend and promote His saving message. Continue to stand up for the dignity and value of all human life, especially that of the unborn, the elderly, and the handicapped. Persevere in your support for the Christian family and for institutions of Catholic education. May the Knights of Columbus always be known for their earnest and persevering prayer. This is my hope for you and your families and for all those who are dear to you. May God bless you all.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, as we return to the studio after the presentation of the Holy Pope. Again, I'm going to ask the professor on his activities on his trip. If he mentioned he is going to return to California, could you tell us what would you be doing in California at this time, and how long do you think you're going to stay there at this time?
Well, the inspiration for that was a person from a father from the mission at Santa Barbara, and he sort of encouraged me to do more study on Junipero Serra, which I have done.
Very good.
And now I have written material that I can present, and also I have a television show on Our Lady of Guadalupe that I did here on this situation, and hope to use that, and then use what other illustrative materials on Junipero Serra.
So you're going to take that to California?
Each mission, go to each mission.
Very
I know some
good.
people in many of the missions, and then there's a group called Franciscans in California who are sponsoring the canonization of Junipero Serra. So I will have many people who are interested in getting more information on Junipero Serra.
How interesting. Professor, with all these missions in California, could you elaborate how were any of the missions site chosen? How did they choose where to have a mission?
Many of them were chosen as part of, you might call it, Franciscan history. Now you can take the first one, San Diego to Alcala. San Diego is the patroness of the Franciscans.
How interesting. Very
San
nice.
Carlos Bartomeo de Carmelo, Bartomeo, I believe, was a secular Franciscan. And then St. Anthony de Padua was one of St. Francis' favorites, and who was permitted to use books and to study when he became a Franciscan. Then you take St. Louis Obispo, St. Louis Bishop. Well, St. Louis might have referred to the King of France, who was a Franciscan. And then, of course, Santa Clara, who was the founder or the foundress of the Order of Poor Ladies, or the Order of Poor Clares.
Poor Clares.
And then we take San Buenaventura, which makes an interesting story. Francis was walking down the street of her town, and this mother come up and says, a holy saint, he was almost called a saint, says, I want you to come and help my child, he's sick. And so that St. Francis went and blessed the child and all that, and the child came back alive.
Wow,
and
very good.
Says, this is a Buenaventura. Buenaventura. which means this is good fortune. And so when Buenaventura grew, he chose the name of Buenaventura, and that's how we know him as San Buenaventura. And then, of course, I mentioned San Antonio, who is my patron saint.
Very good.
And his life is very interesting, and I hope to do some prayers on him too. So these were the 9 missions for which he personally sponsored and saw that they grew.
Wow. About how far apart would they be between each mission?
I don't know,
Roughly.
maybe 20, 30 miles.
20 miles apart. Very good.
And as I mentioned, most of these situations he traveled by foot.
Foot for each one.
He might have been carried and might have gone on move, but he was too, I don't know whether you'd say proud, to use other means except by foot that the Lord gave him.
Wow, how interesting. And when you go out there in California, do you expect to see some of these missions? Or?
I expect to see every one of them.
Every one of them? Very good. How long do you expect to stay in
I
that?
hope to be out there about a month. I think that'll be enough. I also would like to talk to some of the churches who named and honored Our Lady of Guadalupe. There are 2 or 3 in the Oxnard area near Santa Barbara, where I visited just a short time ago.